Tonight, temporary relief for flood-ravaged BC. Farmers and families take stock of the damage with more rain on the way.
The whole course is underwater.
And why frustration with Ottawa is growing.
I don't know why the federal government isn't paying attention.
A conservative crisis of confidence.
They're missing the moment.
Can the party's leader survive the latest political defection?
What Pierre Poilievre has to do is start winning.
And soaring sales at a budget Canadian retailer.
For cleaning, for, cotton.
What's behind the shift in shopping habits as families stock up for the holidays?
I think I saved at least $15.
CTV National News with Heather Butts. Reporting tonight, John Venevali Rao.
Good evening. We begin tonight in BC's Fraser Valley, where the flood situation is improving and water levels are going down. But as you can see here, it's still a big problem. Hundreds of homes remain under an evacuation order and even more on alert. And there are concerns about additional rain on its way. CTV's Craig Krause leads us off.
A major artery cutting through Abbotsford deserted a vehicle Saturday. Floodwaters continuing to cover the lanes of a major highway and other local roads, leaving some drivers to lose patience with the closures and go around barriers.
Last night we had two individual drivers that decided to ignore those, enter floodwater areas and sink their vehicles, resulting in having to be rescued.
As you can see, there's rushing water coming off of Highway 1 and into this stream, and because of this, the water levels have significantly reduced over the last 24 hours, but the overflow water from the Nooksack is still flowing into Abbotsford.
It's just a repeat of last time.
Flashbacks of 2021 for local business owners who have been forced to close.
Last time we were closed for, I think it was 8 or 9 days. This time, if I can just be closed for 2 or 3, that would be wonderful.
Her business dry with its power on for now.
The whole course is underwater right now.
Something not all are experiencing as hundreds of properties are forced to evacuate.
We got to go assess the damage and see how bad it is, right? So, the old owners went through this 4 years ago, and then we took over 2 years ago. Now we got to deal with it too, right? So really don't know what to say right now.
Sparking local politicians of all levels to demand Ottawa step in and build preventative infrastructure.
The province reached out. Minister Green did her job. I'll give her credit. But the feds, they had not heard a word yet. That's just not acceptable.
The land behind us is the breadbasket of British Columbia, and I don't know why the federal government isn't paying attention.
CTV News reached out to the federal government to get a response, but we've yet to hear back. In the meantime, locals are watching on as Environment Canada warns that more wet weather is on its way this weekend. Craig Krause, CTV News, Abbotsford.
U.S. President Donald Trump says America will retaliate after 3 Americans were killed in an attack in Syria that the U.S. is blaming on the group Islamic State.
An ambush, terrible. We also have 3 wounded. They seem to be doing pretty well. But we mourn the loss. These are 3 great people. And it's just a terrible thing. Syria, by the way, was fighting along with us. The new president of Syria is, as they told me, and I'm not surprised, he's devastated by what happened. This was an ISIS attack on us and Syria. We will retaliate. Thank you very much.
2 U.S. service members and an American interpreter were killed in an ambush by a lone gunman. 3 other service members were wounded. And according to the U.S. military Central Command, the gunman was killed. There's multiple reports the attacker was a member of the Syrian security forces. The Pentagon spokesperson says the soldiers were conducting a key leader engagement when they were attacked, adding the mission was supporting ongoing counterterrorism operations in the region. In a social media post, U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth warned if you target Americans anywhere in the world, the United States will hunt you down and, quote, ruthlessly kill you. And tonight, a tragic scene unfolding at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. That is where multiple people were shot and several students were killed. An alert had gone out on campus about an active shooter, and students were urged to stay hidden. According to one analysis, there's been more than 70 school shootings in the U.S. so far this year. Now to the continuing fallout over that latest Conservative MP to switch parties and join the Liberal government. The Liberals say it's a further indictment of the leadership of Pierre Poilievre, who is set to face a confidence test next month. But as CTV's Colton Prale reports, Conservative insiders say the party leader is likely safe for now.
Bearing gifts for a holiday fundraiser, the Prime Minister is celebrating his own early Christmas present. Another Conservative MP crossing the floor to join the Liberals, as the party, which now sits one seat shy of a majority, hints there are more dissatisfied Conservatives.
You've seen 2 to date. There are others, that is for sure.
Michael Ma is the 3rd Conservative MP to announce their departure from Pierre Poilievre's party in the past month.
What Pierre Poilievre has to do is start winning. He lost the election itself. He lost his own seat in the election. And as he's come to the House of Commons, he's lost the policy agenda.
New polling from Angus Reid shows most Conservatives still want Pierre Poilievre to lead the party into the next election. But that number is down 10 percentage points since this summer, when he earned his way back into Parliament. Conservatives say Poilievre is likely to survive his January leadership review.
You can be sure they're not going to stack the hall with people who would be voting against Mr. Poilievre, quite the opposite. And so I think that there's not much mystery as to what the outcome will be. I suspect it could be 80% or higher approval rating.
While Poilievre has Conservative support, among all voters, he trails Mark Carney by nearly 23 points as Canadians' preferred Prime Minister in the latest polling from Nanos Research.
They're missing the moment of appealing to Canadians who want an alternative government, who are thoughtful in the moment and putting forward a truly substantive platform. And I think that's the pivot that Pierre has to make, or otherwise he will never be Prime Minister.
While most Conservatives expect Pierre Poilievre to survive his leadership test in January, they say the instability of a parliament so close to a majority government mean questions surrounding the Conservative leader will continue to swirl. John.
Okay, thank you, Colton. American tech giant Microsoft gave Canada a big economic boost this week, announcing it will spend billions to expand its data centers in the country. But that's not all. As CTV's Jeremy Sharon reports, Microsoft says it's also prepared to defend the nation's digital sovereignty.
Physical borders. They are a clear visual indication of Canada's sovereignty, but in a digital world, they don't have the same power.
You've got this sort of meshing of borders where you've got multiple countries saying their laws ought to apply.
While Microsoft will expand data centers in Canada over the next 2 years, amid trade and geopolitical tensions under U.S. President Donald Trump, Canadian companies are looking to rely less on American tech companies to store their data over concerns about the U.S. government's ability to access it.
We have said that, if the U.S. government seeks data from a Canadian customer, we will stand up to defend that. If there's a legal basis, and there typically is, we'll go to court.
But under U.S. legislation known as the Cloud Act, American companies could be compelled to hand over Canadian data to U.S. officials if compelled by a warrant. Speaking with CTV's Question Period host Vashi Kapelos in an interview set to air Sunday, Microsoft's president was asked about the viability of his pledge to protect Canadian data.
We rely on our own relationships on Capitol Hill and with the administration itself. I have a lot of confidence in our ability to succeed.
But protecting digital data or defending digital borders isn't easy, says this professor who specializes in internet law.
The problem is if you get a U.S. court saying, well, not so fast, we want U.S. law to apply here, there's a pretty strong likelihood that faced with that potential conflict of laws, Microsoft may feel that it's got no choice but to comply with U.S. law in those circumstances.
Other jurisdictions are facing the same challenges with digital sovereignty. This summer, Microsoft France testified before a French Senate inquiry that it can't protect EU data from U.S. authorities. John?
Jeremy in Ottawa tonight, thank you. And you can watch the full interview with Microsoft's president tomorrow on CTV's Question Period with Vashi Kapelos. Call it a sign of the times, with the retail giant Dollarama this week reporting a major sales spike as many families struggle with rising costs this holiday season, and more Canadians trying to chase down cheaper goods. With more on the shift in shopping habits, here's CTV's Kamal Karamali.
Take a look at these prices.
It's cheaper.
Cheaper is right.
food, toiletries,
winter item and everything.
even holiday goods.
You're going here because why? Because it's
The cheaper. Only that's the reason.
Found here at the Canadian budget retail store Dollarama for a fraction of what you might find at other stores.
The value. It's all about the value.
Lena Ricci finds herself shopping here more often these days.
I think I saved at least $15. Yeah.
It goes a long way.
It does. It goes a long way. I could spend it on my other groceries, like my meats.
And she's not alone.
Last year, Dollarama listed its third quarter sales at $1.5 billion. 1 year later, just this past quarter, that sales forecast soared to $1.9 billion. That's a 1 year increase of 22%.
It shows that consumers are suffering. It shows that consumers with modest incomes are hurting.
Since the pandemic, the cost of living has shot up. Rising inflation, interest rates, housing, and food costs, combined with the U.S. trade war, creating the perfect storm.
In the third quarter, we actually did see household spending drop by 0.1%. That's the first time that household spending overall has fallen since 2021.
While budget retail chains like Dollarama have thrived, the company says opening more stores in Canada and Australia has increased profits, but analysts say so has depending on the cheap cost of goods from overseas.
We're not going to find very many products that are made in North America or Europe. They clearly specialize in things that they can buy at a relatively low price.
Pulling away from the Buy Canadian movement that was brought on by the trade war.
I'm trying to tighten the budget. We have a big family, we're Italian, we eat a lot of food. And
as long as it puts food on the table this holiday season. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
For drivers looking to save money this holiday season, there's a bit of good news that can be seen at gas pumps across the country. And speaking to motorists in Saskatoon about it, here's CTV's Keenan Sorokon.
It's nice. It's kind of a godsend, I guess.
The price of a liter of gasoline is at a 5-year holiday low. Fueling up across Saskatoon on Friday would cost you anywhere from $1.09 to $1.17 a liter, the lowest prices approaching Christmas since 2020, when COVID saw prices fall during a massive supply and low demand for fuel.
We've seen markets move away from $70 a barrel oil back to $55, $56 a barrel oil.
Energy analyst Dan McTeague says a number of things coming together are driving prices down. Refineries are running optimally. Companies have switched over to the more inexpensive winter blend. The carbon tax is gone and the dollar is holding strong right now.
It looks like what you see is what you're going to get, perhaps with prices dropping a little bit.
Diesel prices are holding on, and prices might see a modest decrease for the rest of the year, helping consumers save for other things.
I have teenagers, so yeah, it means more money for groceries.
While this can be seen as a small win, the savings shouldn't be overstated.
It's welcome news, but I don't view it as being a great cure for some of the inflationary challenges that Canadians are still continuing to bear.
But as winter progresses, Willoughby will be keeping a close eye on how fuel affects the price of other goods, which could slow increases seen elsewhere.
Maybe this could be an extended period of happiness for the consumer.
Keenan Sorokon, CTV News, Saskatoon.
A new survey is confirming what many patients already know, that the time between getting a referral from a family doc and treatment can be agonizingly long, especially if you live in Atlantic Canada. With more on that, here's CTV's Maria Sarud.
For patients across the country, the hard part isn't just the treatment, it's the time it takes to get there.
The data is depressing.
New figures this week show the wait for surgery or specialist care can be close to a year on the East Coast. But that's no surprise, says health expert Nadim Ismail.
The Atlantic provinces in the East Coast have always had longer waits than the rest of the nation.
The Fraser Institute surveyed over 1,500 specialist physicians across Canada and calculated how long patients wait between a family doctor referral and treatment. The national median is 28.6 weeks, down slightly from 30 last year. New Brunswick has the longest delay at nearly 61 weeks, followed by PEI at close to 50, Nova Scotia at 49, and Newfoundland around 43. The root problem is a shortage of physicians and specialists, says the Medical Society of PEI's former president.
At this stage, we're in a real bottleneck.
We need to get more physicians and more healthcare staff in order to deal with the backlog.
Officials are trying to turn the tide. Health PEI's new strategic plan sets a target of 60 physician hires in 2025. But as of October, just 28 had been hired. The agency brought 41 physicians on board in 2024. Behind me, UPEI's new medical school is also expected to bolster the local workforce, along with more training seats through Dalhousie University. But experts say it'll take time before patients see meaningful change. Maria Saru, CTV News, Charlottetown.
Coming up after the break.
Just based on what I'm already seeing on our information line, there's a lot of interest from certain customers who do want to buy it.
Putting American liquor back on the shelves for a good cause. Yet another province has decided to sell off its stockpile of American booze, which had been pulled earlier this year from store shelves, pledging to give the profits to food banks. And as CTV's Garrett Berry reports, Newfoundland and Labrador has already cut its first check.
This check, $500,000, is a massive boost to the Community Food Sharing Association in Newfoundland and Labrador, a food bank organizer which works behind the scenes.
Will certainly carry us through to the I guess I'll call it the dry time for donations and all that, and that's very, very important because these shelves they'll be pretty bare in another month or so.
Equivalent to roughly 1/3 of its regular yearly income, this group is now counting on another $500,000 to help from the sale of American liquor products that are being put back on the shelves in Newfoundland and Labrador this week.
Minister, thank you so much. That amount, my knees started to shake.
Following in the footsteps of Nova Scotia and Manitoba, Newfoundland and Labrador is putting American alcohol back up for sale and sending the profit to charities.
Does it mean that we're going to be restocking our shelves with American product anytime in the near future? And the answer would be no, we are not.
The booze has been sitting in storage for about 9 months now. Officials say spoilage hasn't been a major issue and wasn't a key driver in moving products back to the shelves. Liquor officials say they expect the products will sell out, even if many Canadian customers have soured on American products.
Just based on what I'm already seeing on our information line, there's a lot of interest from certain customers who do want to buy it. I have no doubt that there are other customers who whether it's available or not, will choose not to.
The roughly $3 million worth of American alcohol here pales in comparison to the warehouses in Ontario and Quebec. Those provinces haven't yet said what will happen to those stockpiles, estimated to be worth more than $100 million. Garrett Berry, CTV News, St. John's.
Coming up on CTV National News, a chaotic kickoff for soccer's biggest star as fans riot over an appearance. The scene at a stadium in India turned incredibly ugly today after what was supposed to be a joyous visit by soccer superstar Lionel Messi that went terribly wrong. There you can see fans begin to trash the stadium, angry with how the visit was handled. When Messi came in surrounded by officials, some said he couldn't actually be seen. The soccer superstar then left earlier than expected, leaving fans furious. Some said they'd paid the equivalent of a month's salary to see him. Today marked a major milestone for a legendary entertainer.
Oh, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious.
Dick Van Dyke, who danced and sang his way into the hearts of millions in the movie Mary Poppins, has turned 100.
The Dick Van Dyke Show.
He was also known for the Dick Van Dyke Show in the 1960s and was recently asked about his birthday.
The funniest thing is, it's not enough. 100 years is not enough. You want to live more, which I plan to.
You got all my love.
Van Dyke, who danced in a Coldplay video, says his key to keeping young, hitting the gym 3 times a week. And check out this holiday display in the Philippines, where a family in Manila has found a way to share the beauty of a white Christmas with children, using soap bubbles to create artificial snowfall. course, it's too warm in the country for the real stuff, and the kids experiencing some of the magic of the season. And another Christmas scene of note in London, England, where more than 1,000 cyclists dressed as Santa and other holiday characters taking en masse to the streets. Organizers say this event started about a decade ago with less than 300 riders and has grown every year. The colorful cyclists also collected money in support of children with heart conditions. Well, one thing those Santas did not have to cope with was snow. Unlike this lone rider now crossing New Brunswick, that is coming up after the break. Finally for us tonight, the story of a cyclist who's picked an unusual time of the year to go on an epic ride. And he's amassed a bit of a following as he treks through the snow across several provinces. Here's CTV's Sarah Plowman.
Donnie Eaterai is on the move, fighting wind, hills, and winter.
It's crazy to be riding in the snow.
Welcome to day 82 of a 6,000-kilometer journey to bike from Ottawa to Labrador, onto Nova Scotia, PEI, New Brunswick, and eventually Montreal.
I have 1,700 kilometers more to go.
The cyclist lives in Montreal but grew up in the south of France.
Well, there is a lot of sun and warm weather.
Not here, at least not now.
There is ice and it's really icy.
On the road, he's exposed to a mix of weather and landscapes, long stretches of isolation.
There is no internet, no signal. You are really lost in the nature.
Each day is captured and shared online.
Quelle belle journée!
Fans are following.
I'm so excited to be able to see you today.
Someone cooked that for me.
Strangers have offered food, shelter, or support.
I think it's fantastic and a little crazy.
But he's also camped, fueled by granola bars and a sense of discovery. On social media, he calls himself Little Donnie.
I feel like we are so small in this world. And it's like the adventure is really big.
The cyclist has met a lot of people on his journey, and many ask the same question. Why is he doing this in winter?
I just love it, I just like it, and that's what I want to do with my life, adventures.
And so he keeps pedaling, with his sights on the rest of New Brunswick and then Gaspé Peninsula soon.
There is a lot of snow, it's going to be icy, but it's the last push.
Open to the open road, and whatever he finds along the way. Sarah Plowman, CTV News, near Miramichi, New Brunswick.
Well, that's it for us. For Heather and the rest of the crew at CTV National News, thank you for watching, and have a great rest of the weekend.
CTV National News, Canada's #1 newscast.